We have a major problem in this country. And I'm talking about mental illness. I heard a guy who made a statement to some degree. We all got a bit of mental illness. That may be true, but you have some who have a whole lot of mental illness. So I'm going to have a conversation about it. I don't have any documentation, anything written down. This is honestly my experience with the mental illness um, over the years up until the present day. Now, as a kid, my everybody in the neighborhood we call cousin. No matter if it was blood or not, we call each other cousins. So my cousin Dre, that lived across the street, he lived with his mom's dad till they got a divorce, and right beside their house, his mom's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Godwin, they had a little house, little 1800s style shack, and next to them was Mrs. Godwin's sister, crazy as a bat bug. They put a basketball goal up in between Miss Godwin's house and her sister's house. So when we want to shoot basketball in the neighborhood, that's where everybody went to. And this psychopath will come out there cussing us out, just dog cussing us. And we kids, we children. And that was, I honestly want to say, probably my first experience really seeing somebody with the mental illness. But everybody else knew she wasn't gonna hurt you unless you really did something to her. But she couldn't stand us out there shooting basketball, raising dust, and all that good stuff. She couldn't stand it, so she cussed us out. She would sit on the porch and cuss us out. And I would say some things, but I'm trying my best not to curse. But I honestly think that was my first experience with knowing someone with a mental illness. Now, Mrs. Godwin's son, Billy, which was Dre's mama's brother, he also had a form of mental illness to the point where he couldn't read, you know, couldn't drive. Billy walked everywhere all my life. You see Billy walking to the store, walking to the gas station, walking here, walking there. And as I got older and started to understand the world better, Mrs. Godwin's sister and her son had the type of mental illness that it was kind of wrapped up with the time. Even though people knew these jokers was crazy, you didn't say too much. Billy, he couldn't read and write and all that good stuff. But if you need a couch moved or some landscaping done, grass cut or whatever, Billy was there. He gonna do it. Back in the day, he just did it for cigarettes and beer. Once the doctor told him to get off cigarettes and beer, you had to pay him a little money. But they had the type of mental illness. Being black and I'm assuming, poor, they didn't seek professional help. It was just known in the neighborhood. It was what it was. So as I go on through the years, I see that form and other forms of mental illness, but it was basically normalized. You see some crazy nut doing this, hell, his mama crazy. It runs in the family. It wasn't until I was in my late 20s, early 30s, before I went to the police academy that I worked at a place in Chula Vista, Alabama, right below Pell City, and it was a school for the mentally ill, trying to educate them on living by themselves, paying bills, keeping a clean house, etc., etc. I love that job. It just didn't pay squat, but I love that job. But these right here were seriously mentally ill people. There was one girl and she looked just like what's the blonde-headed woman off Beverly Hillbillies? Spitting image of her, spitting image. But she had the brain of a 5-year-old child. It was sad. You had some who were tortured. There's this one black dude. He was chained to a bed mattress, and his daddy set the mattress on fire. You can see the springs that burned in his back. And this young man suffered. He was messed up in the brain. It was a traumatic incident. He was messed up in the brain, and he never recovered. So he was a part of that program, but he wasn't in the school to try to learn. He was just out to survive because it messed his mind up real bad. But I said all that to say this. In the modern day, 2026, along with social media, we see, in my opinion, mental illness at its worst in my 54 years of living. Now, when I told you the story about Dre's auntie and his cousin or his uncle, I know mental illness just wasn't concentrated on Bynum, Alabama. It was everywhere. You had people in hospitals, you had people here and had people there. Matter of fact, it used to be a hospital in Birmingham, I think, Birmingham or Tuscaloosa, called Bryce. That's where the mentally ill went. And when they closed Bryce, I remember hearing that they was closing mental illness centers like Bryce, or mental ill hospitals like Bryce. They were closing them down countrywide around the nation. And I didn't think about it twice then, but now I think about it. Why? These people need to be hospitalized, institutionalized. Just watched something the other day about the Maine senator's race. That Graham Plattner character, who is mentally ill, had to get out of the race because of sex allegations, or RAPE allegations. And they brought 8 people, I want to say, to have a debate and fill that spot for the Democratic side. And they had this one individual, white dude with a dress on, and I don't know if that was a wig or his long hair. But I'm asking a question: do people see this? This is mental illness. He said he don't want to deceive the public. He want to be very transparent. What are you doing now, man? You a man, a bitch with a dick, with a dress on, talking about you don't want to deceive. Excuse my language, I apologize. I just don't get it. The reason they shut down all these mental institutions and hospitals, I don't get it. But maybe it was a part of a bigger agenda. What's that President Trump said, that these other countries let people out of prisons and mental illness hospitals and send them over here. Well, hell, we started that. When these people got out of these mental institutions and mental hospitals, we didn't ship them to another country. They was here in this country, and probably the majority of them reproduced, and now you see what we got now. In my opinion, 1 out of every 10 people in this country has a form of mental illness. That's not something I got from the CDC, so that's not fact. That's just my opinion. Because working in law enforcement and doing what I do now with the state of Alabama, I came across these people on a daily. And that's why I said 1 out of, you know what, the numbers may be worse than that. They may be 3 out of every 10 people. Don't know. But I do know we got a serious problem. We got an epidemic. But nobody's paying attention. It's almost like nobody cares. If it doesn't personally affect you, you can just watch it on TikTok or Twitter or whatever. it don't personally affect you. One of these days it is. You'll be going into Walmart or going into some store and some psychopath is going to pull out a damn AK-47 and light everybody up. When we simply could have taken care of the problem a long time ago. But anyway, that's my little 2 cents. We really need to really think about this mental illness thing. It's an epidemic in my opinion. But I appreciate you guys. I love you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you guys stay blessed. And I'll see you next time.